Folks, welcome to another episode of Życie Bez Gruchy. Our guest today is a man of many talents. He's an entrepreneur, award-winning author, keynote speaker. He's a podcaster and film producer. Dr. Reid. As an action-taking phenomenon, strategy turns into results fast and furious, and relationships are deep and rich in the space he orbits. A firm believer in the role of win-win partnerships and making a difference in others to succeed. Most importantly, he loves what he does, treats it as fun with a smile, as you can see on his face or on his lips, and he enjoys his life. Greg, welcome to the podcast from San Diego, right?
Yeah, I like your accent. Where are you from, Texas?
I'm from Texas, but with the Polish accent. They prolong the vowels in Texas. I just came back from New Orleans, and they always say, you're all great. You all did a great job, Greg. So at the end of the podcast, my objective is to say, Greg Reid, you all did a great work.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah. So first of all, before we start, I just want to say, because obviously you're an author, you publish books, you help other publish books successfully. I've got the best kind of diamond from your stable, which is 3 feet from gold, right? And so everybody who's watching that should check it out, definitely. I'll show it at the end of the podcast. And then there's another one with Ben Ward, who is a friend of mine, a client as well. So we'll talk about it. But before we do, could you tell us your story? Where do you come from? And like, so many people should know about you and what you're doing. And then so I was just awestruck. And the reason I was like, okay, I need to invite Greg on the podcast is because, first of all, I met you through Billy, who is on this call as well. And by the way, he's great. And we met in Las Vegas through the mastermind, which you're organizing, Secret Knack. So I met, great people from your network. And so there's also a star in Las Vegas with the name Greg Reid on it. So to me, like, people should know about Greg Reid. Not enough people know about Greg Reid, and that's the problem. That's why I was like, I went to a guy called Bill Walsh. He was organizing the throw-in an event. You probably know that guy. And he was saying, Greg Reid. Then I go to my client, Brad Lee. Someone is, saying, oh, I know Greg Reid. Everyone knows Greg Reid. So I'm like, who is that guy? I need to have him on the podcast. So thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to have you here. Tell us, where do you come from and what's your story?
Well, thank you very much again for having me on. And door number two, it's kind of interesting. I really never focused on the fame or exposure as much as doing the work, because I figured I can always go back later on in life and say, hey, look, all these amazing things. But right now I'm so busy doing them and accomplishing items, I have no time to talk about it and brag. So for those of you who are new to my work, hi, I'm Greg. I'm here in San Diego, California. I've been publishing 114 books, 45 different languages. My major feature film, Wishman, is trending worldwide on Netflix as we speak. And I happen to run and host and founded the #1 networking event in the entire world called Secret Knock.
So we need, let's go back to your childhood, because right now, there's a lot of titles that, and then a lot of things that you've accomplished. You're a speaker, you're an author, publisher. We'll get into that. But I would like to do an interview that no one has ever done. And I'm going to kind of I'm Polish, so I can make mistakes, but sometimes I'll be very direct, and I'll ask about books and how that actually kind of converts into action and then the results. But let's go back to the beginning, because you started in an advertising space, right? That's where you actually gathered the most capital. That's where you gathered like the biggest money at the beginning till the age of 39. Can you tell about the beginnings?
Well, well, you're asking like 3 different questions, so I'm not really sure what you're asking. You said about my childhood, then you talked about,
like
there's a big gap between a child and 39. So where would you like to begin, my friend?
Let's start with the childhood, and let's go through like those 3 questions.
Okay, so I was a kid and now I'm old. So there's that part. Door number 2 is that advertising. Yeah, I had really one big job in my life. From age 20 to 40, I was in advertising sales. And at the end of it, I started my own little company and I grew it and I sold it for my first big hit. And that's what led me to do what I do today. And so it's really interesting. I believe the key of success, no matter where it is in life, is you surround yourself with people that are getting the results you want for yourself. And then you start duplicating it for yourself with your own little spin. So when I went to write books, I went to Barnes and Noble and I bought every best-selling book. And I called those authors up and said, hey, teach me this system. When I wanted to sell my businesses, I went to people that bought and sold major corporations and said, hey, how does this work? Because everything has a system. And once you learn it, you can apply it for yourself and have the same results.
Correct. And then that's also something that people don't get about you. Like, I think they look at you and they're like, oh, like he's an author or a publisher. But they, like, one thing that I picked up from all of the interviews, because I did my homework, was you're always about the blueprint. And you're the guy who is actually, doing stuff. And that's why maybe there's not enough like exposure to, and then by the way, you should have more exposure. That's why I want to promote the message. I want to promote you. I want to, become, friends, do some business in the future. And so if you could, I'm going to drill into that advertising space. And that's because you're very direct and you're very brief in your answers. So I need a little bit more meat. How did you build that company? Where did it start?
Well, again, I had a great mentor. I actually answered the question, as you surround yourself with people that are getting the results you want. So one of my earlier mentors, his name is Jack Mates. He started a company called Velcro USA. And I said, how did you sell 5 billion people Velcro? And he says, I never did. I just sold 5 people. Head of automotive, aerospace, fashion, medical. They found the application brought to the world. So I started applying that same principles to myself in my advertising space, and we grew exponentially. And by doing that, I got to sell it for a nice little exit. And like I said, transition to what I do today. Again, we can reduce them down to simplicity because it is that simplistic. We don't have to overcomplicate it. I think that's the biggest challenge. There's so many of these gurus out here that want to poke the sore spot and dramatize how difficult things are when technically, first there's a dream, then there's a challenge, and then there's a solution. I just focus on the solution. I don't get caught up in the minutia and the crap on the way. So by doing that, all I do is I focus on the end, in mind, and I find a way to blueprint to make my dreams come from my head to my reality.
Right. And so you exited at the age of 39, and then what do? Like you want to start another venture, or you're looking for, I heard you're looking for like, like you want to actually do something that you're passionate about, or you wanted to teach. But again, you're in business, you're teaching your employees. So I'm like, I think there's something more than teaching. It's kind of contributing, maybe on a wider scale. What's the trigger here?
I don't know if it's the teaching as much as it's living by example, because I believe in attraction rather than promotion. So if you can actually live the lifestyle that other people would like to emulate, and then they can ask you for the blueprint, and then you can share that, amazing things can happen. I mean, looking back in life, what would we rather have? A map or a guide? Look, if you're dropped in the middle of a rainforest with a map, unless you know how to read that map, if you know where all the things are, you're still in the same situation. But if you have a guide, someone can actually show you the path, amazing things and opportunities can start unfolding. So I just think of myself as a guide to show people exactly what I've done so they can duplicate it for themselves. Basically, I'm just a student who happens to be one step further than the person that's coming up behind me.
Amen. Now, when you teach people, why so many still don't implement? That's something that I'm like, that's what I want to kind of pinch with the Polish accent. And then that's, you've published co-authored, published over 100 books.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm 25% Polish, so I completely understand. So we go there. And again, even when I wanted to go into the book industry, when you write a book, you write something called a query letter. It says who you are, what's your message, why you're an expert, who's going to read your book. Well, I sent 8 of these query letters out every day, and I was turned down by 268, publishers, agents, and printers. And the 269th one said, we'll do your book, but change the title, beginning, middle, and end. Because I couldn't really grasp the concept of writing. I'm dyslexic. I can't spell very good. I can't read very well. So I understood the power of everything I'm talking about is you work your strengths and you hire your weaknesses. Surround yourself with people that are getting the results you want. So I found amazing ghostwriters and editors that would play at something I would struggle at. And by taking my gift of gab and communication skills and their writing techniques, we put them together and wrote best-selling books that are going on to inspire the lives of tens of millions of people.
And there's a blueprint behind every bestseller. So you know about it because you've done it over and over and over again. Two things that I wanna, because I see you're all about the people and what value you can give in the shortest amount of time. So we're not gonna drill into, what you did as a kid and like what was like the cause and effect. So that's why I wanna go very briefly as well here, and then and ask you now. And that's something that Xerox, you know the guy. His book. You probably mentored him and then also helped him. You probably been behind everybody who's written a book, and I know and I know about them, or people know about like self-development guys, authors. So you've been kind of mentoring them, right? Those people come to you, but the thing is, Xerox concept, which is rocket fuel. So turning those obstacles, rejection, into fuel. I remember I was asking a girl on a date, and then she was rejecting me. I was back in Poland, and then every time I was remembering about her, I'm like, you know what? Actually, I'm not built the best life. I'm not built the stuff that she kind of maybe rejected me over because I didn't have that. I was growing up in an orphanage, and I'm gonna turn that. So every time I look at that picture, it fuels me. So how did you find out about it so early, and why is it so important?
Okay, again, you just unpacked a whole bunch of stuff there. So C-Rock, love the guy. And yes, the same concept is we use obstacles into opportunities, as you've seen in many of the books, and C-Rock using rocket fuel to catapult themselves to a life of sustained abundance. Again, I see a situation that might look like a challenge, and I just look for the solution in it. And again, I just duplicate myself with people that are, experts in their chosen field of endeavor. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I went to Pamplona, Spain, and I went running with the bulls. Well, I didn't just wing it. I just found the person who wrote the definitive book on running with the bulls. And I said, hey, where do I go have the best time and not get killed? And he said, well, that's easy. Around the second bend and the long stretch, stand in between. The bulls run one side, people trample the others. You can take selfies in the middle, have a great experience. And that's what I did. When I went to Africa to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, I found the Sherpa that I climbed it 900 times. Wherever they put a boot print, I put my boot print, just consistently following the successful actions of others. And now, yes, some authors come to me because I can give that blueprint and show them the next step. They can do it for themselves and cut their learning curve so they don't have to go through the same trials and tribulations that I did. I consider it, I paid the dummy tax so they don't have to.
Amen. Again, very, very brief, on point. Greg, let's talk about your the publishing again. Because your books have been published in 45 countries. We need to give some numbers to people so they can see the power. The guy that was preparing the script, he was like, wow, that guy has a lot of on his CV. He's done a lot there. So number one, I want to ask you, with all of all of the things that you've accomplished, and the books that you've published. How are you so humble? In Poland, I'll just give you another example so we see some sort of counter example of what I'm saying. In Poland, you talk to someone who is nobody in a way, and they say, you know what? I'm practicing something. I said, what are you practicing? He said, I'm practicing a rule of being not accessible. I said, okay, so what does it mean? He said, that means saying no more. And then so what I saw on your Instagram was people that are the most accomplished, they're the most available.
Yeah, I just don't agree to that mentality. I believe that the most successful people are the most available people, and it's our duty and obligation to teach the others behind us so that they can duplicate it for themselves. Just as people opened up the doors of opportunity for me, I decided, hey, I want to do the same. Back to the publishing industry. I started a publishing company myself because I got tired of these major publishers taking advantage of all these up and coming people and said, hey, I'll start a publishing company as a author for other authors, and I can teach them the exact system, the way it works. And then rather spending 3 hours explaining something, I'll give it to them in 4 minutes. They're going to know the exact in and out. And I believe that that's the way society is going to start leading. Look, the secret of opening the doors to people that are maybe a little bit more successful than you and I is called specificity. Specificity opens up the doors of opportunity. For example, if I wanted to get access, and I'm writing a book called 3 Feet from Gold, and I want to get to the person who started NASCAR, I would reach out to them and say, I need 12.5 minutes of your time. That's all. I'll cover all my own expensive time to get to you. From the moment I open the door till the time I leave will be 12 and a half minutes. I'm going to ask you one simple question: why you didn't give up 3 feet from gold. Well, the chance of him coming from his office to the break room to do that is so high. But unfortunately, so many people reach out and say, I want to pick your brain. No one wants their brain picked. No one wants to go to dinner with you. They don't want to go to lunch. They don't want to have coffee. They don't know you. So specificity opens the door. If I get off stage and there's 10,000 people and there's a long line to meet you, they say the nicest things. How can I work with you? How can I be of contribution? How can I be of service? Again, I don't have 30 minutes to do a resume check. Compared to someone comes up and says, hey man, loved your talk. I saw your Instagram, saw you have 500,000 followers. I make really cool memes. Let me send one to you. If you like it, maybe you'll use me. 8 seconds, I know who you are, what you do. You got my cell phone, and we're in contact. That's the key to opening up the doors of opportunity. Keep it short, keep it specific. People love that, and the doors shall open.
Again, so on point. You're just smashing it every question. I think, what was it, the morning coffee or I don't know, what's the secret? I think it's the secret knack behind you. That's what it is. Now let's go over public speaking. You wanted to become a motivational speaker? That's what you wanted after the age of 39?
Well, I was asked to speak after I sold my corporation and did pretty well. A local university asked me to speak to their business class. And I did, and they started passing me around to the different universities. And then one kid, after a talk, said, man, you should write a book. And I went, yeah, that's a good goal. I never really read a book. And that's what started this whole journey, because it became a goal. And when I was a 17-year-old young man, I had something called the bucket list. And it was 80 impossible things on there that I wanted to accomplish before I passed away. And one of them was to write a book and then to become a best-selling author and all this different stuff. So basically it became a goal, and I started going forward. And that's why when I was turned down by 268 publishers, I didn't let that stop me, because I had to hit my goal. And I will never let another person or myself talk me out of something that I know to be true. Now, I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to adjust along the way, but I'm not going to let anyone stop me when I know I'm on track and I have something to share with others.
So, and then you could you like bring a few stages that you spoke on? TEDx, Pentagon, right?
Yeah, well, you're naming them for me. So there you go. So TEDx, I've been Pentagon. I've spoken at the United Nations General Assembly floor at the Novus Summit. I've spoken on stages literally all around the world with translators from, you name it. I just, Bulgaria down to Chile and everywhere in between. And the whole concept is, if you have a good, solid message and you can deliver it in a way that the audience will feel it for themselves, that's where the miracle lies. See, so many people in this space want to get on a soapbox and yell at people and tell them what to do. And that's not my style. I like to share stories of inspiration so they can see themselves in that situation. So perhaps they can go, hey man, I can do that for myself, and then go apply it. And then they can have the, results for themselves as well.
Mm-hmm. So you're the founder of Secret Knack, the #1 networking event in the world. It's a top rated business gathering, and that's how I met some of the people from your mastermind. And so, could you tell us more about it? Where is, like, if people wanted to join online, maybe you have some online sessions, or they need to come to California. Where does it happen, and are you planning to organize more events?
Yeah, great question. So there is no Secret Knock online. It is all live in person. We're doing our first major mastermind group, because everything's open up in California again this July. And I got to tell you, it is spectacular. And then we're going to do Secret Knock in September. And the reason is I believe people are tired of listening to these fake gurus and teachers and authors and coaches. I believe people want access to the direct person who's accomplished what everyone else is talking about. So in my home for the mastermind group we're going to do in July, if you want to start a new clothing line, come hang out in the taco bar with the founder of Brian Smith UGG Boots, a multi-billion-dollar franchise. If you want to get into the entertainment space, we have the founder of the E-Entertainment Network coming in, and you can actually go over here and, play some bocce ball or, talk to him offset. We're going to be bringing in some of the most powerful and influential people because they're all cool. They're normal and they're hanging out. There's no name tags. You're literally hanging out in my living room in the entrance where you're going to open up your phone and say, hey, you know what? I'm working on this challenge. I'm working on this situation. Do you happen to know somebody? And then they pull out their phone and go, you know what I do? And they make that connection right there on the spot. There's no VIP thing. You don't have to pay extra. Once you get in and go through the tuition process, you are accepted and you are family. The only challenge is you got to get through Billy. Now, Billy is an amazing person. See, he's my vice president who opens up the door and he calls to make sure that there's a good fit, meaning that we can bring value to you and you bring value back to our organization. And the moment that he says you're accepted, he'll accept your tuition, put you on the list, and then he'll give you the address where we're all going to be meeting this July.
Absolutely. And then the event was going to happen in March, right? That was postponed.
Yeah, well, that's the big secret knock. Now, that one we're going to be doing in September, which is different. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be in San Diego at a very exclusive secret location. And it's going to be phenomenal. I'm going to tell you right now, we haven't been able to do our live event for a couple years. So when we get back together this September, we're pulling out all the stops. Rarely would I sit there and say, this will change your life. This one will change your life. And the way that works is you have to fill out an application. It costs $3,000 to go, and we will not tell you where it is or who will be there. Nothing. We just tell you the city, state, and date so you can book your airline tickets. And then as we get closer, I'll leak the location so you can book your hotels and things of this nature. And the reason is last time we brought in President Vicente Fox from Mexico, and he didn't want Secret Service. We did a private Skype with Edward Snowden while he's hiding in Russia. We flew in Tonino Lamborghini, Mr. Lamborghini from Italy. Wow. We brought in all these amazing humans, and we want people to feel comfortable and safe that they don't have looky-loos and, people from the streets just popping in.
2 questions around what you just said. Number 1, how do you bring all those people? Is it through your connections and then, from your persona, from your brand? Number 2 is when people go there, is it about what those people say, or is it about the network and how you connect and how you introduce your products, your services, and then how can you help other people there? What's like the number one thing?
It's mostly the latter part of that. The whole idea is we want, like I said, there's no name tags and there's none of that little bumper stickers. So that way, when you go, you have to go meet everybody because you don't know who's the millionaire. You don't know who the billionaire is. You don't know who the people doing stuff. So what happens is that by you going out and doing these network games and getting to know one another, all of a sudden it opens up your sphere of influence and you grow something which I call the switchboard. Mine is a little Rolodex I keep on my desk, and it's got all my greatest connections. And I call it the switchboard because I use it to connect people. So if I'm talking to you and say, hey, I'm working on this new board game and I don't know where to get started, I go to the switchboard and open it up and go, oh, here's Rob Angel, the guy who did Pictionary and created a $1 enterprise, and I can connect those 2 dots and help you succeed.
Beautiful. So is that, I have 2 last questions. Is the secret knack and then connecting, creating value and sharing what you know, and then also connecting the dots? Because at the end of the day, you can share the knowledge, but when people don't freaking pick up the call and call, if they don't, text Billy and invite Greg on the podcast, nothing will happen. And then there's so much the emotional baggage that we all have to call someone, and procrastination and stuff. So that's I think something that you're doing with your events and your actions. And then last thing, I would like you to share like the biggest challenges that you have in your life, because I remember by doing the homework, there are videos on YouTube as well where you're going through tough times in your life. You're telling those stories, and then you're 3 feet from gold, as they say. So if you could share your like biggest challenges and how you overcome it and how that builds you actually now.
Okay, and these are so many different dichotomy of questions. So I'm going to start from the first part about Secret Knock. What we do is we encourage and inspire people to actually reach out and make those connections on the spot. And the reason is because a warm lead and a warm connection is 80% more available and willing to open up that dialogue than just an email or here's someone's name and number. So what we like to do is on the spot, literally, if you're saying, hey, I'm working on this project and, I want to go to the Olympics, for example, and I happen to have an Olympic champion over here, I can open up my phone and do a connection right then and there through text. And when that person sees that it came from me to do the introduction, the chance of them actually connecting is as high as it could possibly be. And I think that is important to do, because just getting someone's name and number in a business card means nothing. How many times have you gone to networking events and you come home with a big stack and you shove them in your door and nothing ever happened with them? It's worthless. It's that connection point is the difference between success and setbacks. That's door number one. Door number two, what you said is about waiting too long to make those introductions or to do something with it. I call it a bad case of the one size. That means I'm going to take action once I get the kids out of the house or once I get the big break or what have you. But the best time to take action is the moment that it strikes you. You got to think it, feel it. You also got to get off your backside, take action, and you got to do it, because it's the action in the law of attraction that makes our dreams come true. Think, feel, do. And then the last part of your question series there was setbacks and circumstances. We've all had those, but I don't focus on that. So, I'm the wrong person to ask to sit there and dwell and go, oh, tell me all the bad stuff. I won't do it, because I don't focus on that, because I only focus on the victories. I focus on these championships. And, so many people can sit there and say, I didn't get a sale, or I didn't get a opportunity, or things didn't go my way. I'd rather look at it saying, hey, I gave a sales presentation. I learned from it. Now I'm going to go till I get my yes. And I'm going to keep going forward, because looking back in life, I got to tell you right now, it took 6 years, for example, to make my major motion picture. I had more trials and tribulations you can imagine. Yet that doesn't even come into mind right now when it's streaming worldwide on Netflix and they're handing us awards and inspiring the lives of tens of millions of people. That's what I'm focusing on. And I'm going, how can I do it again? How can we inspire more people? Not that the gaffer didn't show up on set with a stupid piece of tape. I mean, why even focus on that? So to me, I put my attention and my energy on what's next. In football, a quarterback never throws the ball where a wide receiver is standing. They throw it downfield and let them run to it. So for me and my good buddy Billy, we're always looking at what's next. We're going to chuck some Hail Marys, because we know eventually we're going to be in the end zone grabbing that thing for the touchdown, where people come to their feet and they chant your name. Look for the success. Good things happen. Good things happen to people who look for good.
Thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate your time. Last thing, where people can go to find you. We'll link those.
Yes, I go to secretknock.co, and all you got to do is, when you're filling out your application, say, hey, I was on this podcast and I heard Billy on there. I'll make sure that I'm reaching out to him so he can call you directly and get the feedback. And then door number 2, go to BitClout. BitClout is going to be my new home. Follow me at Greg Reid, and you can see the tokens and things of this nature, and we can connect there. Appreciate
you, sir. We'll be in touch, and all the best with your events. I'll be in touch with Billy to connect, and then come your way to California. I'm in Vegas, so just around the corner.
Good. And do me a favor, go to my star. It's in front of the Paris Hotel, and clean it next time you're there. Someone sent me a picture. There's like bubble gum and stuff on there. I go, man, I got to get someone to go out and scrub that thing for me.
I will definitely do, sir. Appreciate your time, and then it was a pleasure to meet you finally, because we had calls before. I met your guys at the mastermind, and obviously I met Billy, so I know about your organization, and I know you guys are great. And so all the best, and then flowing power to you guys. Thanks a lot.
I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Życie bez gruchy. Jedyny życiowy podcast w Polsce stworzony dla geeków.